Good morning. It is 10 a.m. on a Friday. I'm coming to you with another video because I discovered while doing a YouTube search the word calisthenics. And when I looked into that, I realized that is more accurate. That is a more accurate description of what I feel I've been doing as my home exercise. Like, instead of following a specific VCR, like when I used to work out at home, I always used the workout tapes, Tammy Lee Webb, Abs of Steel, Buns of Steel, whoever the workout queen was at that time, I found someone to follow, and I learned a lot. It's like I had a Pilates teacher that was on a VCR tape, So I learned a lot of Pilates and workout moves on how to strengthen and tone your body all over. But I haven't been doing that like I used to, the way I did before my hand injury was really that really stopped me from daily working out. And I never really fully recaptured that level of discipline. When I look back on my photos, I can see there was a time period in my early 20s, late 20s, mid 20s, my 20s. That sounds so long ago now. But when I see myself in my photos, I see how lean I was, and I can see muscle definition. And that was after the birth of my first child, which I gained 75 pounds. I was 212 when I gave birth to my first son, and I had, the summer before I got pregnant with him, went down to my lightest weight ever, which was 127. And I remember being shocked because the lowest I remember ever weighing before that was 135. So going from that weight up to 212 was a big, that was a lot of a weight gain. And I was wanting to get my tiny waist back. So I was really doing a lot of ab work back then. But it took a long time before I shed that very last bit of my abdominal weight, and that didn't happen until I found summer sizing. And what summer sizing, Suzanne Summers, it was her way of eating that is very much like keto. But at that time it was Atkins, but it was low carb. It was this avoiding white flour, white sugar, processed foods. She used that with food combining so that she could still eat things like whole grain bread, because she loved breads and carbs. And she found that if she had her carbs separate from her proteins and fats, like she gave herself a carbohydrate meal once in a while, it kept her on track and kept her from falling off. And so that was the program I followed, and it was the most successful weight loss I had ever had. But I felt like after the first success, I never fully was able to do it again. There was always something that I felt I was not able to stay on it for whatever reason. And now that I've been through it a few times, I understand the psychological aspects of diet and how food is used as more than fuel for the body. It's used as comfort or avoidance. Stuffing. When you stuff your food into your mouth and you stuff your stomach full, it feels the emptiness. It feels a lot of anger and rage and jealousy and fear. Those emotions are all felt here in the belly. And just your stomach going empty, and when you start to growl and you feel that feeling, that can feel just like, very similar to those feelings, and you want it to go away, so you reach for something that's going to calm it immediately. So what I remember about why it was so successful for me the very first time was because I saw it as something I had never tried, and I was willing to try and give it my best. And I did, and it worked. So then I think I had too high of I'm not sure how to put this, but the other times I tried to repeat it, it was under different circumstances. I was in a very toxic relationship, and he was actually very encouraging of me to put on weight. He would always say, keep on your fat, keep on it. I like it, keep on it. He was from Palestine, but yeah, he would say, keep on your fat, keep on it. Didn't expect to go in that direction today. But yeah, calisthenics. I'm gonna look into that a bit more online to see, but those are more of the movements I feel like I do when I'm dancing. It's more like I'm working out a kink in my shoulder that I got from carrying, the however many pounds the waitress trays are that I carry at the diner I work. It's like my muscles are sore, so these weird neck movements, it's like, well, to me, it's like letting off tension. It's like you're releasing the tension out. And it's ironic too, in the middle of my last video, the pressure cooker, the off-brand Instapot, that I call it my bean cooker. I made black beans yesterday, and I was gonna make some northern white beans, and I was like laughing at the irony, like, oh, black beans and white beans, but it started making this loud, scary sound, and I went in there and it started like looking like it was gonna explode. It started spraying steam, and I remembered my mom telling me about a lady at church had her giant pressure cooker explode when it had a bunch of green beans in glass jars. And explode, and like it hit the ceiling, and like glass and green beans and juice were just all over the kitchen. And so I had this image in my mind of, is this thing gonna explode on me? So I like ran in the kitchen and yanked the plug out. And this morning I took the lid off and the seal had come off. So I fixed it this morning, but it still made a funny sound. So I'm like, I'm not sure how safe this thing is. But I'm batch cooking beans because I'm wanting an easy, cheap protein source that isn't heavy. And beans, although you don't want to eat too many of them, just that little bit of beans makes you feel sated. It takes away that feeling right here that I get, that usually when I feel, I call it a buzz, but when I feel this feeling right here, the only thing that makes it go away are carbohydrates, like a bread or a cookie or something. But beans kind of they count somehow. So something told me, don't be afraid of beans. Just, maybe those people around you might be afraid of them, but, I'm trying to also help my son with meal planning. It's hard, but it's even harder when you're doing it for one person. So I'm hoping that if I have at least one other person in mind when I'm making food, I'll be more inclined to make it. Because I've been doing that my whole life. Since I've learned how to cook, is to cook for others. So now, just cooking for me has been very tricky. But again, I went way off topic, and it's over 8 minutes long now. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off and give it a watch. And look up calisthenics.